So, Oz on vacation for half this campaign so far. Not that it really matters. John Fetterman is doing a fantastic job campaigning, whether Oz was, present or not. In fact, if Oz was in Pennsylvania more, it may have actually hurt him. But Fetterman, of course, running away with this race right now. Now, let's be clear. This race is not over. The vote is in November. A lot can happen. Of course, a lot of money will be poured into this race to benefit Dr. Oz because a lot of the powerful special interests do not want Fetterman there, as he is more of a progressive than what they are used to seeing in the Democratic Party. But here is what Oz. This is amazing. Oz put this out on June 21st, likely shortly after he arrived back from Europe. So he tweeted out, "Still looking for John Fetterman. Let us know if you see him," with this lost graphic with John Fetterman in that image there. Well, John Fetterman took this and turned it into his banner image because it's so freaking cool. Turned it into his banner image on Twitter. And check out the ratio here: 18.3 thousand likes to Dr. Oz's 1,000. So look, Twitter isn't the campaign, isn't everything, but it shows you where a lot of this energy is and just how terrible Dr. Oz is doing. And the idea to try and claim, "Oh, we can't find John Fetterman. Meanwhile, you've been on vacation for half the race." it's just amazing. Now, another example of some of the shit posting that's been going on. Dr. Oz here trying to, match Fetterman's meme game with this best friends. He keeps trying to attach Fetterman to Bernie. Bernie has been voted the most popular senator 11 times in a row by Morning Consult. Why would you want to attach your opponent to the most popular senator in the country? But that's what he's doing. So here you have a very poorly photoshopped Bernie Sanders and Fetterman here over the Step Brothers image with best friends. Well, Fetterman responded, "Graphic design is my passion." Just freaking brilliant. And if you want a running list of the best burns that Fetterman's been putting on Twitter and generally about Dr. Oz, this Jezebel article breaks a lot of it down, so I will link to that below the video. You can check that out. But let's get to a recent video that Fetterman put out about Dr. Oz. Again, Fetterman's been using this angle about how Dr. Oz isn't from Pennsylvania, because he's not. He's been living in New Jersey up until just recently to run in this race. So he uses that again for this brilliant campaign ad.
Yo, Dr. Oz, Stevie VZ here. What are you doing in Pennsylvania? Everybody knows you live in New Jersey and you're just using your in-laws' address over there. And you do not want to mess around with John Fetterman. Trust me, he's a little out of your league. Nobody wants to see you get embarrassed. So come on back to Jersey where you belong, and we'll have some fun, man. We'll go to the beach, we'll go surfing, come on.
This is another example of why I keep saying that other Democrats have to look to John Fetterman to understand how to campaign. The biggest lesson here is that Fetterman is setting the narrative. So they're not working in reaction to what Republicans are saying about how they're being slammed and having to react to that. Fetterman is setting the narrative for the campaign, being consistent in his messaging about Dr. Oz. He's not from here. He's from New Jersey. Why is he here? A lot of his shit posting is about that. This is another great example of that. Setting the narrative and this isn't even a part of policy. Like, Fetterman still has the policy backing, but you have here a great example of how to set the narrative. Find at least a couple of weaknesses that your candidate, that your opponent has, and utilize that to your advantage and hammer it again and again and again and again, so that when people think about Dr. Oz, they think about, he's not from here, he's from New Jersey. And immediately that impacts people's opinions of that person and gets them thinking, yeah, why is Oz here? Why is he running here? He's not from here. It's just a brilliant campaign from top to bottom. Now, to give an example, of course, Fetterman also has the policy backing. Here is a recent op-ed he put on Go Erie saying, "To fight inflation, let's make more stuff in America." So he's not just about the ship posting. He's also about the actual, policy, about actually investing into the working class. I've gone over his platform before. It's largely fantastic. There is a couple positions I disagree with him on, but he's largely, much better than most Democratic senators. So he's going in the right direction. And another example of how yes, he has the economic backing, but he's also not ignoring this important piece as well. So a lot of Democrats are told to, simply ignore, the base of the party. Ignore people that have been marginalized because we don't need them, or it's going to hurt you if Republicans see you, standing up for, in this case, the LGBTQ community. But that's stupid. You want to be able to activate these people in your state. You want to show that you actually care about them and will fight for them. And here's an example of that, and a specific example of that. So he tweets out here, "I'm deeply honored to receive the endorsement of the Human Rights Campaign and Ricky's Pride. Send me to the U.S. Senate and I will vote to scrap the filibuster so we can finally pass the Equality Act and guarantee equal protection under the law." So here is a very specific example, and he's done this before in other posts, a very specific example about what a vote for him, or what him being in the Senate, how that would actually directly impact your life or impact votes in the Senate, what specifically he would vote for. So a lot of Democrats, when they're campaigning, they're very vague, and it turns people off because it just comes off as phony, as lacking any actual consistent message or any actual fight. But when you show what a vote for you means, what you being in the Senate means, then that helps to activate various aspects of the base to come out and vote for you, because then they expect you to fight for them in this very specific way. They can see what you have promised to do, and now they can hold you accountable to that. Just a fantastic campaign, up and down. It really is a lesson for everyone else who is running against, just these terrible Republican candidates that either are completely phony or don't care or are just absolutely terrible people. And in general, they are terrible people if they're in the GOP with the shit they're voting for and voting against. But you have here an example of how you can push back against that, how you can set the narrative, how you can make your opponent look like a clown. A lot of Democrats could learn from John Fetterman, and it's good to see him right now increasing his lead over Oz.